What is up, investors, and welcome back to the Everything Crypto Show. I'm your host, Everything Crypto, here to bring you the latest and most important news moving the crypto markets. Now, as always, please remember that nothing on this channel is financial advice. These videos are for viewer education and entertainment purposes only, so please invest responsibly as I want this community to thrive in the long run, and I love and appreciate you all. Now, on that note, we have some serious stuff to get through today, including the very big day that we have in the markets tomorrow. We got to talk about the Cronos Gravity Bridge as well as the Crypto.com Metaverse coming live soon, as well as another potential stablecoin meltdown and some proof that Celsius may take up to a year to actually refund their customers. So definitely a lot of stuff to get through, and without further ado, it is time to sit back, relax, grab that morning cup of joe, and enjoy the show. And if you have not yet hit that sub and like button, please consider doing so, as the goal here is to bring you guys all of the news that you need to know on a daily basis to keep you up to speed on what is going on in these wild markets. So go ahead, hit that sub button, join the Everything Crypto squad, and with that, we are going to get right into the video, starting off with the charts here. So now taking a look at Bitcoin, we have had a nice pump on the day. We are up 7.76% at the moment, almost breaking that 2300 level. This means that we are officially back above this 200-week moving average. This will now be the second attempted breakout that we have made above it. And once again, I am just looking for a weekly close above 22.7K. If we do see the weekly close, which to me does seem quite likely this week, we can see a full-on reversal here and flip bullish in the crypto markets. Now, also taking a look at Ethereum over here, Ethereum showing significant strength, up like over 10% on the day. Yeah, we're up 12.83% on the moment. We are actually just attempting to hit that all-time high that we did hit a couple of days ago. And if we do break out of there, I would expect to see ETH go ahead and penetrate that 1700 level. We are well above that 200-week moving average, as well above that 2018 all-time high at 1400. So ETH and alts have definitely been the stronger performers so far in this reversal, and that is also reflected here in the ETH to Bitcoin valuation, which is once again retesting this 50-week moving average. So if we do actually break out above this 50-week moving average, I would expect ETH and altcoins to continue outperforming. But if we get rejected here, I just simply do expect Bitcoin to outperform for the next little while on this reversal. So that is what I'm keeping an eye on in the markets for the short term. Long term, we know this is going one way, and that is up, in my opinion. Now, we got to talk about the macro a little bit here. So starting off with yesterday's Fed Reserve meeting, they did raise interest rates by 75 basis points. This was in line with expectations and what we personally were expecting, as we have seen a lot of downwards price movement on these inflationary pressures. So 75 basis point, that is what was expected. That is partly for the reason that we did see such a big rally yesterday in the crypto markets. However, today we finally did get that big announcement. The USDT declined by 0.9% in Q2 of 2022. This means that this is the official second consecutive quarter of negative growth, meaning that the US is, in fact, in a technical recession. Now, this should not come as a surprise to many. We've been talking about this almost every single day since July 1st. Here's actually the video from July 1st where we said recession day one, because July 1st marks the very first day of Q3. We said recession is officially here in the title, and I'm sure that, a lot of people are not caught by surprise when it comes to this. I don't think there was really any way that people could have expected the economy to actually grow over the past 3 months, and this is definitely why the White House has been gaslighting us and trying to change the definition of a recession over the past couple of days. However, more interestingly, the market appears to not really care, because I think because we got this 75 basis point hike and we did see a little bit more of a dovish Fed at yesterday's meeting, that people are not too worried about a recession. They're more worried about inflation. So very interesting indeed that we've pretty much shrugged off this news so far. However, we do have a very big day coming up today into the close. So yesterday, Facebook actually did go ahead and report their earnings. It was pretty rough. They did actually just report their first quarter of negative growth, second quarter of declining sales. They lost $2.8 billion on their Metaverse division, but Mark Zuckerberg does see it as a big, moneymaker in the future. However, today we have two very, very important stocks. Like, Facebook is definitely a big stock, but it's already lost so much value. that it doesn't really have a huge impact on the markets. Like Facebook's market cap is coming in at 458 billion here, okay? Apple's market cap comes in at 2.54 trillion. And we also have Amazon reporting, which does have a market cap of 1.23 trillion. So much bigger companies than Facebook. If these companies do disappoint on earnings and tech stocks move down, I would expect crypto to definitely move down with them. So definitely something to be prepared for today. So we have a tweet here from Miles Dutcher, which does set the stages very nicely for a reversal. And you can see here that he says 100 basis point hike avoided, dovish undertone, Fed taking August off, next FOMC meeting is 55 days away, and Bitcoin breaking resistance. In my opinion, this is to be determined. I still want to see us close that week above 22.7K, and then we will have broken above a resistance. This might be a bullish month. And honestly, I do tend to agree here. I think that if we can see Bitcoin close above that 200 week, we don't have any more announcements from the Fed for 55 days, we actually could see a nice continuation of this reversal, especially leading into the ETH merge that is expected to come in early September. So definitely something to keep in mind, keep your eye on. And now I actually want to play this clip here. This is from Fox News, I believe, and this is Natalie Brunell shocking the TV host on Bitcoin and inflation. And really, she just words it perfectly. So we're just going to listen to this clip real quick.
The entire world would be using crypto, even if it's limited to certain projects.
I think the entire world will be using Bitcoin. Why? Because we need a superior form of money.
There'll be enough Bitcoin out there to make it a viable backbone for the entire global financial system.
Well, that's exactly the point, because you know what Bitcoin is immune to? Inflation. And we need a form of money, a superior form of money that's immune to that. Because who benefits from inflation? The rich people, the people who have assets, and the people at the bottom really suffer. And we've never had this bad of wealth concentration since the late 1920s. And money doesn't really trickle down, but the defaults will trickle up. And I think everyone in this room can agree that at some point, that money printer will go burr again. It has to. It's just math. We're too far into debt. And when it does, the bubble will get even bigger. The wealth concentration will get even worse. And thank goodness we have a parallel system through technology that we can peacefully exit into and start accumulating Bitcoin to fix some of these problems and leave behind, demonetize the Fed's monopoly.
So that clip from Natalie Brunell, I think, just does a very good job of describing my stance on Bitcoin as well, and that is why I didn't want to play it, because I honestly think that majority of the population has it backwards. So you guys will notice that since this peak we hit in November, Bitcoin has been selling off like the rest of these high-risk assets. However, it's ironic because the reason these high-risk assets have been selling off is because of inflation, because of the Fed's irresponsible money printing, and that is actually something that Bitcoin is supposed to solve. So I have just become more and more bullish on Bitcoin as we've sort of seen the impacts of the Fed's money printing, and yet for some reason it has been going down and down, as I just think a lot of people really misunderstand Bitcoin. So in my opinion, this is a very, very interesting opportunity, and it does just show how early we are, that people are still associating Bitcoin with high risk and not realizing that it is pretty much a solution to the problem that we are in right now at this very given moment. And the other thing that she did point to was the fact that the national debt is just too out of control, and that eventually the money printer will have to print again. It will come. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be next year, but eventually it will come, and we may see ourselves back in the exact same situation. Now, the question is, by the time this does happen again, will the general public be a little bit wiser to what Bitcoin is and how it actually solves this problem? Time will tell, but we are still incredibly early, definitely given the vast misunderstanding of what Bitcoin is, and I think that clip does a great job of demonstrating this. Now, we also got to talk about Bitcoin in terms of all of the regulation going around, and Michael Saylor here says that Bitcoin offers a sound, technical, and economic foundation for the emerging digital asset economy and will be the primary beneficiary of the current wave of crypto regulation and rationalization. So what he's referring to here is actually the Coinbase SEC probe into listed tokens that has a lot of traders upset. It does include altcoins like XYO, which is up like 70% today, by the way. So I guess I don't care about that news too much. LCX and a bunch of other alts. And basically what he's pointing to here is the fact that Bitcoin has already been confirmed to be a commodity multiple times by Gary Gensler. And it's pretty much the only one, in my opinion, that is completely safe from this whole regulatory aspect, as it does not have one single single owner. It is a decentralized network. So that is also why I'm a big believer in Bitcoin. And it's not even my biggest position. I actually do have ETH as my biggest position, but I do acknowledge that the one risk with Ethereum is the fact that it could technically be defined as a security. And I really only think that Bitcoin is safe from the securities listing at the moment. So definitely something to keep in mind. Once again, I am not a Bitcoin maxi by any means. ETH is my largest position, but this is a reason that I do value Bitcoin when compared to pretty much every other crypto. And speaking of Bitcoin, we have seen the biggest inflows into Bitcoin since November of 2021. So Bitcoin inflows represent 58% of the total inflows into the crypto sector. And this is definitely something very, very interesting indeed. You can see here that last week's 343 million in inflows was the largest single week since November 2021. 30 million was reported as inflows to digital asset investment products last week, meaning the total inflows since the beginning of the month are at 394 million. Okay, so definitely we are seeing a lot more buying here from Bitcoin, or from these institutions into Bitcoin rather. And I think what this signals is a lot of maturity that is coming into the markets. As you can see here, when was November? This was November. So we saw the highest amount of inflows when Bitcoin was pretty much at the very top of the previous cycle. And now we are seeing once again a large amount of inflows when we are, in my opinion, near the bottom of this cycle. So I just think this is a sign of maturation, a sign that people are becoming more comfortable with the volatility in crypto. And yeah, I really actually do like to see this from CoinShares here. So definitely a nice piece of news. And then we also had Kathy Wood talk about how Bitcoin could turbocharge solar and wind energy. And this is also incredibly interesting. And basically what she's talking about here is that there are billions of cubic meters of natural gas released into the atmosphere through harnessing natural gas emissions, while these resources could instead be used to power the Bitcoin network, incentivize network participants to secure the asset, and transform what otherwise would be wasted energy into a useful resource. And this is always the one thing that I talk about when everyone kind of tries to FUD proof of work and talk about how the energy consumption is too high and it's actually harmful to the environment. Guess what? This is all energy that's being used anyways. This is excess natural gas that would just go back into the environment and get released into the atmosphere. It can instead be used to secure one of the most powerful and decentralized networks on the planet. And I do really think that this is the future of Bitcoin mining. I also believe that when we do see this coming to fruition, that a lot of this like environment FUD will go away. And we actually can see a perfect example of this here as Exxon was mining Bitcoin in North Dakota as part of its plan to slash emissions. This launched in late January of 2021 and began its expansion in July. So it's already been going on for about a year here. And basically, they're just diverting natural gas that would otherwise be burned off into generators. And they're using it to instead power shipping containers full of thousands of Bitcoin miners. So this has already been going on, and I would just expect this to continue moving forward. And I do once again really think that it will allow people to understand that proof of work can actually be beneficial for the environment. Now, we also got to talk about Ethereum here as the Shadow Fork 10 goes live, and we are once again one step closer to the merge. So in order to prepare for the final merge, several tests are being performed. A hard fork and a shadow fork are quite dissimilar, as a shadow fork mostly assesses and tests a few small modifications that ultimately result in the final merge. Now we are actually seeing the mainnet shadow fork go live, and yeah, this is definitely going to be very, very interesting indeed. The Goerli testnet merge is likely to happen on August 10th, and we are still on track to go ahead and actually launch ETH 2.0 by September 19th of 2022. Rather, the Ethereum Foundation is. So this, once again, is something I am very much looking forward to, and I think that it could contribute to a lot of crypto rallies in the next couple of months, especially given that we don't hear from the Fed again for about 2 months. So it does line up perfectly that we could actually see a nice run into ETH 2.0. And option traders are kind of reflecting the same thing here, as it shows you that pro traders are ready to go long into ETH merge. Although we did hit that price resistance at 1600, this is not stopping options traders from opening fresh leveraged longs. So what they're basically saying here is that options traders are buying ETH pretty much at their highest rate in a very long time. Although they are still nowhere near as optimistic as we were in 2021, we are starting to begin to see signs that we are starting to turn optimistic again. And all of these things are sort of lining up to sort of indicate that we could see a potential reversal on the horizon here. So once again, very bullish on ETH 2.0, very bullish on the incoming supply shock, which we did discuss in yesterday's video. And yeah, definitely keeping a very close eye on ETH. If the ETH 2.0 merge is successful, I do think that ETH will lead the next bull run just like it did in the previous one. Now, we got to get into the Cronos news here, as we have some very big introductions. You guys know we've been talking about the Cronos bridge here for a while, the gravity bridge that is set to go live on the Cronos chain very soon. And basically why this is such a big deal is it actually does allow for interoperability between Ethereum and the Cronos chain. So what you can do is take any ERC20 token and actually send it over to Cronos. The ERC20 token will be locked, and then you will, whoa, voice crack. The ERC20 token will be locked, and you will receive the same amount of the CRC20 token on the Cronos chain, and then vice versa. When you actually want to send this token back to Ethereum, the CRC20 version of the token is burned, and that originally locked ERC20 version is sent back to your wallet. So you could actually go ahead and move something like ERC20 Chainlink over to CRC20 Chainlink on the Cronos chain and then send it back. And this is absolutely a massive deal. I will be keeping an eye on the testnet to actually go ahead and see when this does go live, but they have officially launched the beta here, and I am very excited for the final launch of this. I think it is going to be a massive deal for the Cronos chain and getting a lot more total value locked on the platform. Now, we also got to talk about the latest upcoming Unreal Engine, and will it be relevant in the metaverse? Now, Unreal and Unity here are two of the best gaming engines in the industry. The Unreal Engine 5 is a well-known game engine considering the number of AAA games that have been released. And we can also see here that some of these metaverse crypto coins are creating their metaverse using Unreal Engine 5. Now, what I find really interesting about the Cronos chain is that they are not only using the Unreal Engine, but they have also built the Cronos chain to be fully interoperable with the Unity engine. So clearly we can see that the Unreal Engine is set to be a prime beneficiary from the metaverse, as it does really have a lot of the best gaming graphics and software out there. And Cronos Play is ready to be integrated with the two best gaming engines in the industry. Once again, I am incredibly bullish on Cronos, but specifically on Cronos Play. And although we did talk earlier about having multiple metaverses, which I still do think will be a thing, I definitely believe that Cronos will be one of the key ones, like one of the metaverses at the forefront of this sort of digital revolution, as the team has been making a lot of moves behind the scenes. We know the Loaded Lions are going to make their way over to Cronos within the next month. And again, definitely keeping an eye on Cronos Play. You guys know, if you've been on the channel, we've been talking about Cronos Play since like February, January. Like, we have been talking about this for a long time, and things are finally starting to come to fruition here. So now we got to move into some more bad news. Unfortunately, it cannot all be rosy, and we got to start off here with the International Monetary Fund that says there could actually be further drops in equities and crypto. So I definitely do always like to gather that different perspective, and we definitely got one here, as he says there could be further failures of some coin offerings, in particular some of the algo stablecoins that have been hit most hard, and there are others that could fail. Now, he actually officially specifically mentioned Tether, the largest stablecoin by market cap, as an asset that could face major stress tests. There is some vulnerability there because they're not backed one-to-one. They are backed by somewhat risky assets. It is certainly a vulnerability that some of the stablecoins are not fully backed by cash-like assets. And he does say that 100% cash-backed stablecoins would be less susceptible to such a situation. This is why I believe that USDC has been gaining a lot of market cap compared to USDT. It's why I also think USDC will become the biggest stablecoin, that it will surpass USDT eventually. I wish there was some way to bet on that and make money on that, but unfortunately there isn't. But I do believe that USDC will eventually become the CBDC and therefore pass USDT in market cap. Now, Tether is also fighting back against FUD here, hitting back at critics, clarifying once again it holds no Chinese CP, which is commercial paper, as reserves. So there has been a lot of FUD here about Tether actually having overexposure to the Chinese dollar and to the Chinese economy. And they basically confirmed that they have reduced their commercial paper exposure to a mere 3.7 billion from 30 billion in July of 2021. So they have reduced their exposure here by like almost 90%, according to Tether. However, I do have to say that while USDT has been working to become more transparent, they've definitely been caught up in a couple of shady things recently. Most notably, they're actually recovery of an $840 million loan just before the Celsius bankruptcy. So we spoke about this yesterday here, and basically this is a little bit concerning because there are questions around Tether's loan and other crypto secured borrowings, and basically how this will actually apply in the digital asset market. So the question here is that can Celsius recover loan liquidations completed in the 90 days before the filing? And if this did actually happen, then that means they could go ahead and take back this money from Tether. To my understanding anyways, I believe that's what is being said here. So the big issue here is that basically Tether actually had an $840 million loan it recovered from Celsius, and basically this is a little bit problematic because if this lawsuit does go through, Celsius could go ahead and try to actually gather back these loans, in which case Tether could be in a lot of trouble here. And Tether did actually not come out. They actually said that they had no exposure to Celsius leading up to the bankruptcy, and while this was true because technically they did actually remove this loan before the bankruptcy, I feel like they were a little bit shady about it and could have clarified that they had worked with Celsius in the past, because now this has come out instead not from them, and it's definitely not like the best look. So staying on the Celsius thing here, we got to talk about Simon Dixon, and he's pretty much an advocate for Celsius investors to get their money back. He is a big shareholder of Celsius. He was an early investor, and he's incredibly disappointed with the company, and basically what now he is going against Celsius and trying to launch his own recovery plan. So he says the latest here is Celsius Network having requested for permission to sell Bitcoin generated from their mining and put custody platform in auction. We talked about this yesterday as well, how Celsius is planning to use their Bitcoin mining business to help them get out of bankruptcy. And he says that this is actually to decrease monthly expenses, burn rate from unprofitable mining, and fill a small fraction of the hole through auction. So Celsius is trying to do it for themselves. They don't have an option as the mining electricity costs probably run in the hundreds of thousands of dollars per day, and they have no other source of USD revenue that he knows of at the moment. He remains concerned the crypto long strategy is aiming to lock them into USD debt on our crypto to prevent the bull market from killing Celsius Network altogether. This would force us to choose a settlement haircut to prevent us from losing everything. I will choose a haircut plus equity. I'll update you if I'm wrong as the situation unfolds. Prepare to have no access to any funds this year. I'm sorry if you don't like this news. I'll say it as I see it, not necessarily how you want to hear it. I will continue to fight for victims. Now, he also says here that I hope I'm wrong, but my big concern about the crypto long is the Celsius Network balance sheet shows crypto assets of $1.7 billion opposite user liabilities of $4.7 billion. Now, this suggests that they are short their crypto by up to $3 billion. This is not only an issue for creditors who trusted Celsius to preserve their crypto, but it makes nonsense of Celsius's crypto long concept. It makes me think that Celsius wants to value customer claims in USD. Otherwise, a Bitcoin bull market will only increase the size of their debt beyond return, and mining only fills a tiny fraction of the whole. And the reason being is quite simple, right? Like if they have to pay back their customers in Bitcoin and then Bitcoin is to 2x, now they owe their customers double the money and they can't even come up with the money that they need right now. So this would be incredibly problematic. And no, this is not FUD. This is something we need to educate on, so we are ready to push back, as it would be a strategy to drive victims to accept USD settlement faster. Better offers are available to remove legal claims. So very, very interesting indeed. I am keeping a close eye on Celsius, and it's definitely been it's been wild. It's been almost like a month and a half now that users' funds have been locked. I sincerely hope that you do get your funds back soon, but according to Simon Dixon, it could take a while. Now, we're going to close this video off talking about FTX, and you guys know that Bankman-Fried, we've been watching this guy for a while. He has been definitely at the middle of this whole infinite crypto liquidity crisis. He has been acquiring exchanges at incredible discounts, honestly, and kind of trying to play like the white knight in shining armor, and now he is open stock trading for users in all 50 states. So this is why Sam Bankman-Fried is a man of the banks. This is why he is so tight with regulators, because he wants FTX to be an all-in-one app, okay? He doesn't even just want crypto anymore. Now he wants stock trading as well on the platform. So this is why he's advocating for regulation, because he obviously wants FTX to be a regulated platform. And now that FTX is selling securities in the form of stocks, hey, why not also sell cryptos, which can also be securities for all he cares? And I was also incredibly happy to see Voyager call out Mr. Bankman-Fried for doing exactly what he is doing, which is offering lowball bids dressed up as a White Knight rescue. Now, he has been actually acquiring all of these crypto exchanges on the cheap after this crypto liquidity crisis, while meanwhile, he was actually a big contributor to this crypto liquidity crisis from what we saw from some of these companies' balance sheets. He was borrowing money and lending it through his different companies, Alameda and FTX. Definitely just a lot of shady stuff going on here, and I am happy that Voyager fired back, as FTX basically tried to attempt to acquire all of Voyager's customers, promising them a partial refund, not really mentioning at all that this would pretty much make VGX completely useless, like the token itself, not to mention the stock, not to mention that all of these customers would actually have to deal with the tax consequences of a cash payout. So Voyager definitely exposing a little bit of what Mr. Bankman-Fried is doing, and he is definitely a character we are keeping an eye on, as I do believe he is really trying to set up FTX to be a complete monopoly and leave everything else in the dust. So with that, I hope you guys did enjoy the content in today's video. I will catch you all in the next one. Peace out for now.